Okay, hey guys, I hope you can hear me. I hope you can see me. I have no idea. This is our first time going live, so we'll see. We'll see if it works. I just want everybody to come in, and I feel like I can't see. Oh, I can see you guys. Okay, hi. Will you let me know in the chat if you guys are able to see me and you can hear me, okay? This is my first time going live. Yesterday, Dinks handled everything for us, and so it was so sweet of him. And as you guys know, we're talent, not production. So this is going to be a learning process, and I really appreciate you guys being here with me. Oh, hi. Oh my gosh. Hi, Kiera. Oh my gosh. I know these names. Hey, you guys. Hi, Tinfoil. Hi, guys. Okay, welcome in. Thank you so much for coming. Okay. So, guys, I feel like we have to talk about it. I found stuff. Of course, and I found stuff right up until 10 minutes ago, which is half the reason that I was rushing around and being like, okay, let me make sure that I come in and I'm on time. But I found some stuff. And before they take our internet away, I want to make sure that we talk about it because I don't love it, guys. It's not great. So what I wanted to start with is I wanted to do a little bit of an intro, and you guys just let me know and we'll go from there. Okay. So please, everyone, make sure that you have your water, make sure that you have your coffee, and make sure to hit like on your way in just so that hopefully other folks are able to see that we're doing this and come and join us too. So I was up until like 2 o'clock in the morning falling down a rabbit hole, and it's all about Fort Banana. As you guys probably talk about the fact that they have gone ahead and deleted a bunch of the searches from Fort Banana. And I'm worried about it, to be totally honest with you. So I was like, okay, I'm going on live so that I can show them. We can do a little bit of a research along. And also we can, talk about why I think that matters. So today we are going to do like an investigate together. And then we're also going to talk about why Fort Banana is probably important. Some of the folks that I think maybe we didn't pay enough attention to when we were first looking at it. And also, the feeling that I have is that Fort Banana at this point, it's feeling more likely than not that there is some involvement here. So what I wanted to do was hopefully, if it's okay with you guys, I wanted to start with just doing a little bit of a clip because I went back and I watched Candace interview Mitch Snow again. It's been since December, I think, that she last had him on. And I remember at the time, some of the focus, of course, understandably, was mostly around the fact that he had identified a couple people, right, that we know are important to the story. Once we had identified those folks, I get the feeling that a lot of eyes went there. Mine did, I know that. And from there, I wasn't as dialed into what the potential meaning of that meeting was at that time. Now, looking back on it, like 6 months later, I really do think that it matters. So what I wanted to do was start out with playing a little tiny clip from Candace, and then, oh, and if you guys do have things that you want us to look into together, please let me know. I know, like, do you guys remember how when Baron first started, he would talk about, like, we would like kind of, give him tips and then he would go through and kind of research. Since we have a small community, I'm hoping that maybe we can do that because I love researching with you guys and I love researching. And I thought, well, you know what? As long as we still have these Google Trends available to us, let's keep looking. In addition to that, we might need to look at some flight data. That's probably going to be important too. Hi, guys. Hi. Welcome. Okay. Yes, I do. Oh, so I just saw, let me go ahead and see if I can add our comments to the screen. I like when people do that. You guys let me know if you guys like that style. I'm totally open to anything, but I think sometimes it's nice because, again, the biggest thing to me is that we have community. And so you guys, all being able to talk to each other while we all talk, that's really what I really picture for our community. So let's start with a little clip from Candace and her conversation with Mitch. And let's talk about it because I really do think that it counts, okay? Okay. All right. Let's see if I can actually make it play. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is crazy.
Congressman, had the pin, had the flag. congressman suit. And there were a couple of people next to him, and obviously they were trying to talk to him. And
can you guys hear that okay?
They were sort of palling around. But
are you guys able to hear? Can you give me a little thumbs up if you guys are able to hear the fact that he's chatting right there? Let me know, because I'm going to slow down the speed a little bit. Oh, the audio is good. Okay, thank you for letting me know. I'm going to slow down the speed because, of course, I was listening back to it at 1.5. Me and Coach, I don't think that either of us can listen to much of anything at like a normal speed at this point. Yay. Okay, thank you guys. Let's go ahead and let it roll, because I think that this first part is important. So just to give you a quick little background, remember that Mitch Snow, he comes on Candace, this is like December, and at that time, he lets us know that he's seen several individuals on the night of September 8th and the morning of September 9th. One of the individuals, of course, we know he had identified with a pretty good degree of certainty that he had seen Erica, as well as several other individuals from that night that were there at the meeting the next day. Remember that he said that he was at that location at Fort Huachuca at sunrise. Now, that's early in the morning. So when we're thinking what time that might have been, it could have been 6 a.m. It could have been 5:30. I mean, the sunrise is early in Arizona. So I'm not sure exactly what time it was. And if he mentions it, that'll be helpful. But I don't think he does. Maybe it may have been as late as 7. Either way, the stuff that he's going to talk about in detail is where I want to make sure that we're putting a little bit of focus, because when I listened back to it, I was like, oh, that sounds like a clue. Oh my gosh, my audio is good. Oh, yay. Okay. I love Coach's audio. Well, you know what? He just has great takes. So maybe that's what it is. Okay, let's go ahead and just listen to them for a sec. And okay.
It was also sort of serious. And some of the military lieutenant colonels there and the unit sergeant major escorted them out. They got into one of the GSA's. For anybody in the military that knows about GSA, they own everything in the government.
Could you, for those of us who don't know about this GSA, just...
Let me just pause it right here. So the reason that this is important is that he's talking about the fact that they saw GSA vehicles. So one of the things that we had identified was the fact that there were very likely or possibly on-base escorts that were making a point to go and pick folks up. Like we talked about before, there's a very limited amount of things like Uber or, some chauffeur service. That is something that specifically the younger enlisted service members are tasked with. And a lot of the time, that is something that they are going to need to go and do, sometimes pretty last minute. I do know that it'll just be a first thing in the morning phone call, or maybe it's something that they prepare for the next day. But generally speaking, they're told, hey, you need to go and get so-and-so, and you need to make sure to get them to this place at this time. When they do that, that was why I thought initially, you know what, we need to check on the aide-de-camp. The aide-de-camp is the name of the guy who's been tasked to be Uber Army that day, right? So for him, he might need to actually go ahead and look that person up. Usually, in my opinion, that is what they would be doing when they're doing that quick Google image search. Remember that they are not checking their bio. They're not looking them up. They're not, reading an article about them. This isn't news articles about those individuals. It's just their picture. And why do you need that? Because when you go and you're getting ready to salute someone, when you are getting ready to pick them up at either the on-post airport or the local airport, you need to know who you're looking for. And a lot of the guys there appear to have been in plain clothes at that time. So if you ask me, that was my hypothesis. And once I was seeing these regular Google searches happening for guys like Bradley Hansel and other folks that seem to be relevant to the story, that's why I felt like enough certainty that that's what I was seeing, that I wanted to put together this procurement pipeline and figure out who exactly might have been there. Okay. Oh, you know what? I just saw run across the screen. I saw someone mention, thank you so much, Darcy. Darcy just mentioned that the sunrise in Arizona was 6:08 a.m. That actually fits really well along with our hypothesis, because when Mitch said that he saw everyone leaving that meeting, he had run across them right at the same time that they were leaving the meeting. It's not when they were starting it. The reason that that's important, guys, is because Mark Amoti, who is the congressman that Mitch thinks that he identified at that meeting, he was on his way out of the building. If I remember correctly, Mark Amoti was then later on the House floor actually casting a vote. I went and checked. On average, that flight from Tucson to DC, it's like 4.5 hours. However, if they went directly from Tucson to DCA, which is right there in the heart of DC, it's right next to the Capitol. It's only a 3.5 hour flight. And what that means is that it's very possible that Mark Amoti was back in DC in time to actually have his House vote. So for me, I'm like, he stays on the list, certainly because Mitch feels really, really confident that he saw him. So let's let Candace and Mitch chat about this for another couple seconds.
To break it down for us, I'm sorry to be so ignorant. What does that stand for?
No. What was it? Government Services Administration, or
Okay.
I forget what it is.
No worries.
What they basically maintain all the property for the federal government.
Okay.
So if you're in the military or if you're in the federal government and you need a vehicle, basically you go to one of the GSA places, and it's like renting a vehicle at Enterprise or something, but you have orders attached to it. Some of those vehicles they're reserved at any GSA where they have VIPs that come in. For those in the know, they keep a reserve set of vehicles, and they're extra shiny. They're like new off the lot. Their tires aren't worn very well. So,
okay, so I feel as though the fact that he specifically identified that these are these general service vehicles as the ones that were picking up these potential, VIP attendees of this meeting, it makes it feel more likely to me. What I'll do is when I want to evaluate a piece of information, I compare that information to things like what I already know. I know that generally speaking, if you're going to go pick somebody up and they are, maybe a lower level enlisted, maybe you're picking up a command sergeant major, maybe you're picking someone up who's, just like a general boss. Usually they are taking their own vehicles. They take their personal vehicles or maybe an older GSA vehicle. But when he starts to talk about the fact that they are like the brand new vehicles, the brand new ones, that to me says, absolutely, that is standard VIP transport on those bases. So everything that Mitch has said so far in this interview, it really does track for me. That's why I was like, okay, I feel as though I have a fair degree of certainty that he is representing what we would expect to see in this situation. So I'm going to skip forward a little tiny bit because he talks specifically about, I'm like, sorry for looking down. You guys know I love my notebook. So let me go ahead and skip ahead a little bit because he's going to talk about Congressman Amoti in detail, and I think that it is really important. Oh, I mean, rewind it. Just kidding. Not skip ahead. Hold on.
XSF guy. He had walked out from wherever it was, and he was sort of walking out to the front doors, and he stood there for a while waiting. And then 3 more people came around, civilian dressed, and one, he looked like a congressman. Had the pin, had the flag, congressman suit. And there were a couple of people next to him, and obviously they were trying to talk to him, and they were sort of palling around, but it was also sort of serious. And some of the military lieutenant colonels there and the unit sergeant major escorted them out. They got into one of the GSA's. For anybody in the military that knows about GSA, it's
okay. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that we all heard that little clip where he's specifically talking about the fact that he saw the congressman. He identified him by the fact that he was wearing this pin. It's like all of these things track, right? All of these things are things that we would expect to see if the meeting went in the way that Mitch is describing it. Now, I'm not here to make any kind of commentary on Mitch's credibility, but what I just want to talk about is the fact that what he is describing does appear that it is aligned with what we would expect to see as far as standard operating procedure for that sort of meeting. It taking place first thing in the morning. I know that I don't know if we have any service members in our group, in our community, or families of service members, but you guys know those really important meetings, a lot of the time, they are at 0500. They're at 5 o'clock in the morning, or they're maybe at 5:30 because the big bosses, they have stuff to do that day. So when we're thinking about, does that fit in alignment with what we would expect to see? It absolutely does, for me anyway. The idea that he saw the pin, that is something that we know that our congressmen and women do usually wear to kind of identify themselves. It also fits with the idea that he might have been someone who needed to be Googled, right? Because a military member is going to actually have his uniform on generally. So you would probably be able to see who exactly it is that you're talking to, who, and how to salute them, how to address them, what they're going to need from you. But someone like Congressman Amoti, it would be a lot less simple to identify him, right? So if you don't know exactly who it is that's walking up to you, if you don't know exactly who you should be thinking, how you would address them, even sometimes military service members, they can be in civilian clothing. That, I think, is a really important point because we need to skip ahead and talk about the Secret Service. This was something that Mitch mentioned, and I didn't pick up on it at the time. That is totally my fault. I wish that I had. So he's going to talk about the person that he felt was kind of in charge of things. I mean, that's how I hear this clip. And then we're going to listen to that. And then we are going to go ahead and we are going to talk about why all of these things make sense in the context of Fort Banana having been a very, very, very important meeting that now they're trying to hide from us. So hang on 2 seconds. Okay. Like, how many minutes is that at? 52. Okay.
We'd often say you didn't know. There was another lady that seemed to be conducting what this overreaction was. And she was definitely, she was in plain clothes, undercover, big sunglasses, Hispanic woman. Right. If I had to guess, probably Secret Service or something like that. She didn't want to approach me directly. She was directing how other people would approach me and ask me questions, get my documents, stuff like that. Eventually they said, okay, we're going to take you to another location. They took me to, they finally showed me where the CID building was, I guess. Put me in there and they recorded me for a while, asked me a few questions, and they were very concerned about the next 24 hours. Like they wanted to make sure, I don't know, maybe that I wasn't there for some other purpose or related to something.
If we can just pause it there. So I think that what Mitch just said is really, really key when we're trying to think about and evaluate the likelihood that this meeting happened, that it mattered, and that there's some possible connection to Charlie, to Turning Point, and to Provo. So just to, revisit kind of the way that he is discussing this woman. I missed it the first time, guys. I was like, okay, I don't know, who Mark Amoti is, right? At that time, I was like, oh, I don't really know who Mark Amoti is. And I kind of went chasing that rabbit trail. But the woman that he's speaking about is someone that he says he believes is part of the Secret Service. Now, when we hear someone who is Secret Service, our first thought should be, so what would the Secret Service be attending a meeting like that for? When we think about protective detail for, congresspersons, generally speaking, that's something that they're only getting overseas. So the idea that this congressperson, Mark Amoti, had a Secret Service detail, that for me, that's a little bit of I'm thinking, you know what, right away, that does not track for me, that the reason that the Secret Service was there was for Mark Amoti. But why else would the Secret Service have been there? Well, it could potentially be because they were there to, follow whoever this meeting attendee was, our super VIP meeting attendee. But there's still only a really, really short list of individuals who are going to be granted that Secret Service protective detail within the continental United States. If this were a meeting that was taking place, I don't know, in a hot zone, and if they were in Islamabad for, the Islamabad convention, that's the kind of situations where the Secret Service is going to be present because they need to make sure that, the attendees are safe. But when we're talking about a military base on domestic soil, guys, it does not make a ton of sense for the Secret Service to have been there. So that was a big question mark that I had on my list as I was going through this meeting and trying to figure out what I could see being 6 months ahead now into this situation and trying to evaluate the importance of Fort Banana. So I started with, so put a pin in that because you guys we're gonna need that. We're gonna need that, and it's really, really key for very, very soon. But put a pin in it because let me loop it back around. So Mark Amoti. When he identified Mark Amoti, I said, okay, let's revisit why Mark Amoti exactly would be there. And I'm going to pull up his wiki. Oh my gosh, can you imagine if I can't pull up that the correct screen? Hang on for 1 second. Let me try to just do this. Let's see. I want to go to Mark Amoti's Wikipedia because I think that it's relevant and I think that it's helpful. Oh my gosh, you guys, you should see how it is when I'm trying to do the editing later on. And then I'm inevitably sitting there going, oh my gosh, I have no idea how to edit this. So that's okay. Let's see here. Maybe I'll just use it in the same one. And then why don't we just do it like this? We're on the fly here, guys. So bear with me, okay? So we're going to look up Mark Amoti in his actual capacity as a former congressman. And I think that that's relevant. So just so you guys know, Mark Amoti, did you guys know that he resigned out of nowhere on February 6th of this year? I was really surprised to see that. That's why sometimes I like to go and revisit pieces of information when we are doing an investigation, right? So for Mark Amoti, the first thing that I think becomes a little bit more relevant as time goes and we're kind of, fleshing this thing out all the way, Mark Amoti is actually a congressman or former congressman from Las Vegas. At the time, I wasn't really thinking about what the implication of that might have been. But now that we have been discussing a possible potential link to some very important people in Las Vegas, I think that it bears relevance. And I'm going to tell you guys exactly why. First, a quick note of housekeeping. One of you guys did point out the fact that I was referring to her as Mary. Right. I'm sorry for that. They pointed out the fact that as a Catholic, it was, just hard in their ears to hear someone like that being referred to as Mary. Well, first of all, absolutely valid point. I can assure you, no relation between those two, right? But I think that that's really valid. And so I'm going to go ahead and I saw someone in the chat say Mima, and that's it. That's all we're going to do. We're calling her Mima now. Mima Adelson, right? Because again, I'm sorry for the algo speak, guys. I don't really have a choice. I wish I didn't have to, but you know what? That's fine. We're going to soldier on because it's too important and we're outthinking them. So when we start to consider the fact that there is an absolute potential that Mima Adelson may have a link to the story as far as the ways that the people around Charlie were being pressured, I think that it is worth thinking about the fact that Congressman Amoti, he is from Vegas. He's actually the only Republican congressman in Vegas. And I was like, okay, that seems relevant a little bit. As I looked through his recent decisions, well, it turns out that he's also the only person, the only Vegas congressperson who voted in favor of the Big Beautiful Bill. And we know that that was the Don's pet project. But something that I didn't know at the time that I later found out, guys, the Big Beautiful Bill was actually extremely, extremely problematic for Mima and the rest of the Vegas casino magnates. It was a huge problem. See, buried within the big, beautiful bill, it turns out that there's actually a provision in there that had very specific taxes and tax limits on losing hands. So, long story short, it would have really, really put financial strain on individuals who were coming to Vegas to gamble and who had lost. They were flipping out about it. See, Mark Modi, he actually went onto the House floor and he spoke highly of this bill. At this point, I'm like, I don't know if he just had no awareness of this provision. You would think that the bigwigs in Vegas, right, Mima and the rest of them, you would think that they would have maybe pulled him aside and said, hey, don't vote for this because it's actually super bad for us. For whatever reason, he still did. Then, once the big, beautiful bill passed, that was in like July, right? So when I'm building out my timeline, I'm like, okay, what are the things that happened that mattered? Well, he really got on the wrong side of Mima and the rest of them. So in September, once this had all passed, September being interesting timing, right? Things that we should just keep in the back of our mind for our timeline. They decided to try to do an emergency change to it. So he and a number of other Republican congresspersons, they went to try to fight to get that provision stripped from the bill. Unfortunately, it failed. And that meant that at that time and through the end of the year, that specific provision now has been enacted. This is really bad and problematic for Mima and the rest of the mob. Well, isn't that curious that January 1st, that new law, it came into place and is now impacting anyone who's a high roller at Vegas or a regular at Vegas. It's certainly impacting the casino's margins. And, well, a month later, he suddenly resigned or, declared that he was no longer going to seek re-election. And it was totally out of the clear blue sky. Like no one was expecting him to do that. He's been in Congress for, I think, about 15 years. He is in a firmly red district. I mean, he pretty much has no one that he's up against when it comes to being re-elected. This is like he was expected to run again, be a part of it again. And all of a sudden, he's unwilling to do that. I get the feeling that there is something there, right? I mean, we know that when we're looking at these connections and we're looking at the big bosses and the people who make the decisions, messing up that badly, it could be as simple as they were just letting him know, hey, listen, we're probably not going to, provide any funding for your re-election campaign. Sorry. But ultimately, it's a sort of thing where he, for one reason or another, is out of it. Now, the fact that he was identified visually by Mitch at Fort Banana, I'm like, that bears relevance. One other pattern that I've kind of observed, and this is just a personal observation, but you guys, please let me know if you guys are also kind of seeing the same thing, is the fact that it seems as though the folks that have been directly involved in potentially the Fort Banana, Provo, and the fallout, they are all on their way in or on their way out of their job. As in, we know that things like the Utah special agent in charge, he was brand new. We know that the director of the hospital, they were brand new. We know that Mark Modi, he now has left that position. We know that Lieutenant General Adams, that's another person who was identified in the Google Trends as having been there. He's brand new to his role. Let's see, AB, Mr. Bailey, our borough, our borough-related find, he is brand new to his job. So what it feels like is though there is a pattern of them either putting people into roles in a, like brand new roles so that either, they just don't know really what they're doing or that they are the ones who are willing to do it, or moving people out of their roles in the fallout. And we've seen both. Mr. Mark, unfortunately, for him, he has made his way out because I get the feeling that he messed up. That's been my impression. And because of that, the fallout from that is he had to go, right? So that was my first little clue that this, that Mark Modi might actually have been someone that if we are going to try to determine who the relevant personnel that were there that day are, I'm having him more toward the top of the list than I did before. I was thinking before that maybe it was possible that that Mark had, just happened to have been there. He sits on a number of committees, And I think that they're important too. But the fact that he has this affiliation with Las Vegas, because when I was thinking about it, I was like, why Mark? Why Amodi? Why him? Why him of all people? And I thought, okay, Vegas. But the committees that he sits on, those are going to get really relevant in just a second. So I just want to double check. I'm like, guys, I don't know like a strategy quite yet. I'm like, okay, I want to just make sure that no one's asking me a question in the super chats, because if you guys do, then I want to make sure that I answer them as we go. So I'm just going to like pop back and forth. But let me know, okay, guys? Otherwise, I'll save them for the end. But we're figuring out the flow, so we'll get there together, okay? For Mr. Amodi, so the next thing that I thought was really relevant for him was his specific appropriations committee that he sits on. So hang on just a sec. Let's go find him. Election. I'm like, it's hard. I'm going to have to do this all in one little tab, but that's okay. I don't care that much. Caucus membership. Oh, committee assignments. Here we go. Okay, let's go with his appropriation. Here it is. Okay. So as I was reviewing his information and trying to take a look at, okay, so we have Mark and he has this Vegas tie. We know there's something kind of about that. I wanted to look and see what specific committees that he sits on are. If you guys are tracking along with this might be just old news to everybody, but something that we should be aware of is the fact that individual congresspersons can sit on different committees. Everybody who goes to Congress, yes, they go and they vote on bills, they go and they, argue about various things and maybe enrich themselves along the way. But whatever it is that they're doing there, a lot of what they are specifically tasked with is sitting on specific committees and subcommittees, as in they're making that determination where the money's going. Now, Mark's sitting on this United States House Appropriations Subcommittee on Homeland Security. I think that matters. See, this specific committee, their job is to take the funding from Congress and then apply it specifically to the Department of Homeland Security and to a specific security apparatus within that department. I was trying to think about, well, what special projects is it that they're working on? Is it something to do with funding? If you guys recall, we did find a number of individuals associated with the acquisition process, right? The way that this Provo system would have been paid for. If we're thinking about, okay, so why is it that they needed acquisition? Well, someone had to write the check for whatever it is that we saw. Hypothesizing, of course, just, my opinion. But if you did need to go ahead and, initiate this system, you need someone to pay for it. That's why you would bring people like Roku. That's why you would bring people like Shahab Chaudhry. They're exactly the individuals who write the contract and the check. And Mark here, he sits on the subcommittee specifically that assigns that funding. But it's not just to the main, Department of Defense or anything like that. It is a very specific subcommittee. And I'm like, guys, it gave me chills when I saw it. So walk with me for a second. Yes, they do cover things like DHS. They do cover, other parts of national security. But they also cover the Secret Service. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but when we were just watching Mitch Snow, we saw that Mitch Snow had specifically identified a woman there who was in charge in some way. She was hanging back. He said that she had sunglasses on. She was Hispanic. And she was talking to and directing everyone else. And she was from, he said, if I had to place her, Secret Service. When I heard that and I started to think about what the potential would be, what reason she would have to be there. Yes, it could absolutely be that she was there specifically because she, wanted to make sure that whomever the protectee was kept safe. That's one option. But she didn't approach him. She didn't go up to him. She didn't talk to him. She didn't try to address him specifically. Instead, she just made sure that for the next 24 hours that Mitch would not come back on post. Now, I don't know if that's when that demonstration took place within that 24-hour range. I don't know exactly what the plan was. You would think that the protectee in question, if that's what she was there, to do, would have been gone within 24 hours, right? But for some reason, she felt as though he needed to stay off post and away from prying eyes for 24 hours. Now, when Secret Service travels, they travel with protectees, but they also travel to conduct their own business. So I'm not sure that there was a protectee in particular involved at that meeting, and there doesn't really have to have been one. That's kind of my point here, is that if the Secret Service has some involvement, they will travel to actually make those arrangements, specifically when they're dealing with national special security events. The ones that I'm referencing here just a little bit are the fact that, guys, we saw with, like, let me just give an example of what is, these special security events would be. Take Butler, for example. Take the Charlie's Memorial. Take the presidential inauguration. Those are the kind of events that Mark Modi is there to fund, and that the Secret Service is there to coordinate, and that are relevant to our story. Do you see what I'm saying? So as I'm evaluating, Mitch's story, like I said, I'm not totally certain. None of us can say for certain what capacity Mark Modi was there in. Was he there in the capacity of being someone who, speaks for Vegas when he makes a decision? That is possible. Was he there as a part of the subcommittee for Homeland Security, specifically Secret Service Special Projects? That's also possible, guys. So to me, it's relevant and it stays on the list. The next thing is, when I was listening to Mitch, he was talking about the fact that he was specifically at the 10th Mountain, at these temporary headquarters for the 10th Mountain Brigade that used to be located there. They've moved since. And like another occasion where somebody had to, move in or move out, someone had to make a big change around this event. It just adds to the likelihood, in my opinion, that this was something that's relevant, right? They will make changes to people's positions so that it becomes less obvious. They scatter folks to the wind like they did with 10th Mountain, so that it's less easy to question people and to, have to collect their whereabouts. It just becomes more challenging. So when we're thinking about that, keep that in the back of your guys' mind. For this Fort Banana meeting, I was thinking initially, I don't know about you guys, I was thinking initially that it maybe had to do with the fact that he was at this temporary headquarters for 10th Mountain Special Group. I was thinking, well, okay, Candace, was thinking that this might have been some sort of military operation. That is absolutely possible. It is, for sure. But in addition, there's other stuff that takes place at Fort Banana that I think really, really counts. And so what I wanted us to next do was take a little peek at Fort Banana and at the location that I think that Mitch was actually at. And I think that the map is going to make it a lot more clear of where he was and why, in my opinion, it actually makes it much more likely. So let's see here. I'm going to double check. Can you guys see this? Okay, I need to probably make it larger. Hold on just a second. That's too much. Let's go look at this little map here, because I was like, oh yeah, when I was on stream with Dinks yesterday, we were not able to even use Google Street Maps. What's that about? I mean, I understand OPSEC, guys, but come on, be serious. So I found a little map here. So sometimes it, can be hard to get the information about where exactly everything is. But if you know all the little spots to look, then you can usually find it. So here we are. Okay. So this is a map right now of the JITC specifically. That is the Joint Interoperability Test Command. What the JITF is that's the place where Navy SEALs can test Army equipment, where Army Rangers could test Navy equipment. Do you see what I'm saying? And that they could do special planning, missions, testing, and training for these interoperability systems. When we've been trying to figure out what exactly it was that they were doing there, let's say that maybe they had a device. I'm sorry. I get nervous. I'm like, I got to learn how to pause. I got to learn how to mute. Baron has a cough button. Someone tell me how to make a cough button like him. So when they have a command that is going to go and operate in a different space, then they make a point to go and test it exactly at a location like this. That's the only way that they are able to test between different systems. If you think about how the Navy has, an entire system for, I don't know, let's say their drones, right? Or let's say their specialized explosives, whatever, right? That is not necessarily going to just automatically run on an Army system. They do not talk to each other. That has to be specifically enabled, tested, evaluated, and like put into place at this place right here. That is what they do at this JITF. And that's why to me, I was like, that feels very important, because what we have been hypothesizing is that it is technically possible that they went ahead and they put the whatever the component was that they got at AES, they put that component into a specialized system at Crane. Crane, Indiana, is Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane. And that's exactly where they take those sort of microelectronics and they enable them. So if we're thinking about what it is that they would be doing there, why did that little contract, why did that extra small munition go to Crane? That's because that's where they put it all together. The thing is, once they put it together at Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane, well, now the Navy could use it if they wanted to. But if you needed a different branch to be able to use that item, you have to have it become compatible with other branches' equipment, right? It's not all going to automatically talk to each other. That's why you go and you send it to Fort Banana, the JITF. That's where they do this. So the idea that Mitch was just, that he may have happened across this meeting, it actually really, really makes sense if we're thinking about it. And that, for me, let me kind of think, okay, I think that we are really, really getting on the right track here. If we can look at the map, I'm like, oh my gosh, can I just cough over here? I'm like, Baron, help me. I need a coughing button. If anyone knows how to do it, please tell me, put it in the chat. And so I happened to see a little message go across, and it asked about Crane. Yes, Crane is CRANE, and that is specifically like the bird, that's a Naval Surface Warfare Center. It's up in Indiana. At first, I wasn't totally sure if Crane, I was like, why Crane? Why there? Why did they need to go there? Well, that's where they do that actual microelectronics. That's where you would go ahead and take, I don't know, a remote trigger, a remote detonator, if you needed to place that small little component inside of a microphone. I'm totally just speculating here, but if you needed to put it inside of a microphone, that gets done at Crane, the actual component itself, because we should remember that the actual item that came from Crane was not a Rode microphone. The actual item that came from Crane, that was just the component within it, right? It still had to at least be placed into something that was going to disguise it, if that hypothesis were true. So now when we're thinking about it, we're like, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. But now the question becomes, how do we get it from Crane all the way to Fort Banana? How do we get it there? Logistics, all of their base logistics are handled by the commander of Crane, Captain Rex Bunyabas. And if you guys go and take a look back at either maybe what I was chatting about on Stu Peters, but I did an entire video on it about the fact that Captain Rex Bunyabas is the guy who would bring that item from Crane to Fort Banana, and he was there getting Googled. So that's why, for me, I was like, no, that makes sense, and that's not great. Also, the program directors from Crane, in addition, they were being looked at in the same way. And so, in my opinion, that really makes me think that this counts, guys. I don't know if you guys are all aware of this, but they started deleting the results like within 24 hours of me going on Stu. They started deleting the results. In fact, they wiped so many results that they messed up, and they deleted every single time that the term road mic has been Googled in the state of Indiana. They overdid it with a few very specific key terms. Dinks and I tried to look it up yesterday. Totally gone. In fact, they had deleted so much that they got rid of any searches for Erica Kirk from Arizona in the state of Arizona until they actually were, I think it was 3 days after, I think that they had wiped every single search result for Erica through September 13th, as though we were supposed to believe that no one looked up Erica Kirk in the state of Arizona, where she's from, where she lives, where she was Miss Arizona. No one looked that woman's name up in the entire state, even days after Charlie passed. So they are wiping people's names, and that's something that they can do. It's a process that you go through Google, and they will actually remove that search as long as you have the correct, they have a long list of requirements. The government can request it. If it's a matter of national security, guess what? It gets to the front of the line. So at this point, I'm like, guys, I get it. I understand from an OPSEC perspective that you should be taking care of our service members and should not have their sensitive information out there. They shouldn't have done the Google searches anyway. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that they are now trying to go and cover their tracks. But my question has always been, so why do you feel as though you need to cover the tracks for the searches for Andrew Colvett and the searches for Johnny Moore? So once I noticed that they had also tried to wipe those, I thought to myself, well, I'm surprised that those two have a national security clearance. That surprises me. That's new information for me. I don't know why the government would feel as though they were just as high of a priority, a national security priority. But guys, they forgot to remove Kairos Andrew Colvett and Kairos Johnny Moore. So I went back on Stu the next night and we talked about the fact that guess what, guys? They literally forgot to take off they forgot to take off half of Johnny and half of Andrew's searches. So I guess maybe it's that, our actual service members, they have their information taken care of. And then the ones who don't really have any good reason to have been there or to have been caught in that search, maybe they didn't get the full court press. But for whatever reason, they have gone ahead. They have made sure that they can go through Google itself and have those searches actually removed and wiped. To me, that says national security question. And that says that it is just another data point that makes me think that it's more likely that this meeting happened and that it matters in the ways that we kind of suspect. I will let you guys know that I have not been able to independently verify the idea that I have not seen evidence of Erica being searched at that time. So I just want to let people know that. I also want to make sure that I really clearly state, Brian Harpole's security, that is something that was caught in the search. Also, a common misspelling of his last name, that was caught in the search. But those searches, they were conducted in the days beforehand. They were not taking place on the actual day of this meeting. So for that reason, and just again, to be totally transparent and to make sure that we're always being upfront, ethical, honest, because this is a serious investigation and these are serious allegations too, if there was any association. I want us to be accurate, right? It is super important that we're accurate. If I cannot say that necessarily Brian Harpole himself was the person who attended that meeting, I am unwilling to state that claim until I have what I feel is total and complete confidence. But what I will say is that I have a very high degree of confidence that the name Justin Davis, the driver of the car, he was being searched in the exact day before that meeting. So there is there's a few hypotheticals that are possible, and I want us to keep them in mind. It could be that Brian Harpole, could be nothing, but it also could be that Brian Harpole is sent or instructed someone to attend that meeting and did not attend himself. It also could be that he, was on post a number of times before the meeting, and so therefore they kind of knew his face by then. If you think about all of these potentials, understand that we don't want to get ourselves locked into any one specific person, but there were actually a total of 3 separate integrity security solutions guys who were being looked at in the days prior. So before we decide which one we truly think is the attendee, or if it was more than one of them, I just wanted to make sure that that was really clarified for everybody, because again, it's too important to get any of this wrong, right? So let me see here. Let me hop over here, and The next thing that I wanted for us to talk about, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish so bad, guys. I wish so bad that I could open more than one tab. I have to just like go back and I have to go back and like open each one, but I can tell you guys a little bit more first about this map of JITC. So do you guys remember that when Mitch came in and he was talking about the fact that he had arrived the night before and he had stayed at the Candlewood Inn and Suites. So the Candlewood Inn and Suites, I'm like, can you guys see the mouse here? I really hope so. Maybe I'll make it even bigger. Can I? Yay. Okay. I feel like that's better. Is that better? That is. Okay. I have to keep switching between. We're going to get better at this. Don't you worry. This is our first time. So please be gentle. So if you guys recall, Mitch stated that he stayed right around here. This is the Candlewood Inn and Suites. Now, this is located on Smith Avenue, right here by the Burger King. I'm like, yep, this map looks up to date. I don't know if you know, then you know. There's always a Burger King on post, and so you know what? Guess what? There it is, and the Candlewood Inn and Suites is right there next door to it. That tracks, makes sense. Another little data point in the likelihood that Mitch is relaying an accurate story. Right? Now, if you think about what Mitch described, he said that the morning of the meeting, he had left the Candlewood Inn and Suites. He had gone out. He had seen a couple people. He had seen a couple people in the area who had tried to give him directions to where he was going, and that he had ended up having to go out of actually to the gate, right? Now, let me show you where the gate is located. So the gate, now I'm not sure which gate he's referring to. The closest one is going to be this one down in the bottom right, the Buffalo Soldier Gate. But there's also up at the top this Van Diemen Gate. So these are both gates out by the highway. I'm guessing, this is total guess. I'm like, maybe Mitch will someday be able to tell me or something here. But this is the Buffalo Soldier Gate down here. And I'm just guessing that this would be the much closer gate. Usually most bases have one kind of main gate and then one that's like a little bit, just for service members who, need to exit off the clear other side. But then he sat there and he was talking about the fact that he had to go all around. They needed to give me specific instructions. I could go down and around this curve. And I was like, you know what, guys, that absolutely tracks, because here is where we are hypothesizing that Mitch was staying down here by the traffic circle. And then all the way up toward the top here, this is where the JITC compound is located. In addition, he did mention specifically the fact that he drove up to the compound, right? He actually went to the compound itself, and he said that there was barbed wire around the airfield. Now, as we're speculating, okay, just to be clear, as we're speculating, think about the fact that there's only so many airfields that are going to be located on a base like this. There's going to be a couple of them, but not that many. I mean, not 10, right? There's usually like maybe 5, maybe on the outside, and that just depends on if they actually have an Air Force component or not. This one would appear to have Libby Army Airfield, and that is located literally directly next to the JITC. So when we're evaluating what the likelihood is that this sequence happened in the way that he said, I would say that my suspicion, I'm going to call it a suspicion and hypothesis right now, is that they may have flown individuals directly into that Libby Army Airfield and then escorted them right onto the JITC. I mean, it really does make sense if you think about the way that these events would have played out from an operational security perspective and just from a planning perspective. The less movement that you can have for VIP individuals, the more control that you get to have over the situation, right? If we're sending these super high VIPs, like, I don't know, the commander of CENTCOM, maybe, or, someone who's a super VIP, an acquisitions person from the Pentagon, the commander of an entire other base, the less distance that they have to travel, the more control that on-base security can have, Secret Service can have, etc., over the safety of those individuals. If you have to go send them off, miles and miles down the road, it's just less safe. So think about the fact that it really makes sense, to me anyway, that they would fly them in right onto Libby Army Airfield. They would pick them up, drive them right over to the JITC, and then conduct the meeting. Whether it took place right inside of that building or not, I'm not totally sure, because again, these were temporary headquarters, and obviously it's kind of hard to find the new and updated. This is the most updated map that is publicly available, But I did look in a couple different, I know a couple different little resources for places to get these updated maps. And I do believe that this is an accurate updated map of the way that they actually have buildings, airfields, etc. on Fort Banana. The only question is if they're temporarily housing people in different spots, there can be a little bit of a difference. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand like where it is that we're talking about and what it is that we're looking at. I hope that this stuff is helpful to you guys. I hope that I'm not the only nerd out there who cares about this stuff, who cares about like putting all of these things together. But I want to know specifically because in my opinion, it matters. It actually matters if this meeting took place because this is going to be, in my opinion, the best way for us to prove this is what happened. Okay. I'm like, sorry guys, I'm really nervous and I'm like hot too. Oh, I get sweaty when I talk about this. Great. Someone said I'd be a great corporate trainer. Thank you. I definitely used to do that. I have definitely done that, but not when it comes to like this stuff, but I'm like, hey, listen, education, I think, is the most important thing. And like making sure that people feel comfortable exploring this data and then knowing what it is that they're seeing, because otherwise we're just going to be, I mean, I feel like I could come on here and be like, guys, it was that for Chica. Here's what they were doing. It was that for Banana. And here's all the bad guys. But I would never want you guys to just believe me about a topic that is so important. And I also really want you guys to also feel a lot more comfortable being able to go look this stuff up too. I don't want to be the only one searching for this stuff. I want you guys to look at this stuff too. So, let's see here. Am I talking too fast? Someone said that I'm talking too fast. I can slow it down. I just thought that people like a faster speed, and I have had 2 nitro cold brews. I just need everyone to understand that. Is it okay? Okay. Like I said, this is our inaugural ever research along. They will get better. You guys should have seen the first video that I did. Oh my goodness. I can't, I'm like, please don't even see it. Please don't even go look at it. It was so bad. Like, well, it's good information. And it was interestingly all about Andrew and about the fact that I had identified a long time ago what I felt comfortable saying was real problems with his business history, with the stuff that he had going on, right? I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. And I still don't. So the idea that this person might have been at Fort Banana is insane. I still can't even process that. I truly cannot even process that, guys. Can you imagine what the implication is if Andrew and Johnny were at Fort Banana? Like, my brain won't even let me think it at this point, and so I don't know what to do with it. The idea that Charlie was betrayed is such a theme in all of this, right? We know that there is a possibility that he was betrayed at the highest levels, including by his direct loved ones, his direct spouse, right? There's a possibility of that. But what I'm telling you guys, I was not prepared to see Andrew's name there. And I don't know what it means. I do not know what it means. The idea that there is a potential that Andrew and or Johnny were still working with the Adelsons and decided to go to Fort Banana at this time. It is too chilling to even think about. And so I'm glad that the information is out there. But boy, I won't let myself believe it. I do think it's interesting. I put up a poll yesterday in my community because I'm really hoping we can use that community. I really do like it. But I put up a poll about who it was that we would be speculating could have been with Ben on the day, right? We know that Ben went and said, oh, hey, I was with, someone important. Now, when I've been thinking about who it might be that Ben was with, I don't know how much it matters. Guys, listen, and this is not me saying that Ben coordinating this stuff doesn't matter. That's not the case at all. But when I've been thinking about what strategically the point is of Ben coming and volunteering this information to us, I'm like, guys, there's no shot that Ben is just going to come and admit that he's the mastermind. Every single word that guy says is scripted. Every single word that guy says on his pod is scripted and is actually reviewed by a legal team. So the idea that he's just going to go and just blurt it out, I don't know. That being said, he decided to do it. And I don't know what the rationale would be. I keep thinking, is he trying to distract us? Because he's such a villain character that, of course, that would make us think, oh boy, this is a big deal that, Ben is saying this stuff. But how is legal going to allow that? Can you even imagine that like legal would say, like, sure, just say that you were there and, and being the little puppeteer with. Who could he have been with? Now, I do think that it's worth running down because, again, in an investigation, especially an outside investigation where, we have to do the job of the Bureau for them, then in that situation, we still have to know who it was. I did put up a poll to see what people thought. My personal belief is the location is not random that he was at. He said specifically Simi Valley in California. That's right outside of LA. I'm like, ooh, I should show you guys a little map. Hold on a second. Let me show you guys a little map of Simi Valley in California because it's like very specific. And I think you guys will see a couple clues that I kind of ran across at that time. So hang tight for 1 second. Oh, a map would be good. Hold on. There we go. This is fine. This is, I think, will show kind of what we're talking about here. Oh my gosh, as I go and fight to find the actual image, it's a very nice place though. It's like it's a nice fancy little spot. There we go. Okay, you know what? We'll take that. That's okay. So Simi Valley is a fancy little part outside of Malibu. Why can't you guys see that? Oh, because it popped up a new page. Bye. Oh my gosh, am I pulling a Baron? Help, no. Okay, wait a second. Hold on a second. Oh my gosh, okay. That's crazy. Hold on 1 sec. Let's see. I'm like, maybe I can find a better one. Okay, can you guys see this? I'm like, oh my gosh, wow. You know what? Internet is so hard. Guys, help. We're nerds, but not that good. Okay, hang on. So if you guys take a look, right? That is where Simi Valley is. So Simi Valley is like a nice little suburb outside of California or outside of LA. So you can see down kind of toward the bottom there, that's Malibu. And then if you go a little bit further up, you'll see Santa Barbara. I'm like, so these should be like kind of key places that we're thinking about. We know that aircraft associated with Turning Point fly in and out of this, like where you're seeing Los Angeles on that little map, on this incredible image that you can see right here. So you can see that right about where it says Los Angeles on that map, that's really close to Van Nuys Airport. That is a specific airport where aircraft associated with Turning Point fly in and out of all the time. The thing about that is I don't know if that specifically is Andrew making his way back and forth, but it is a fair question. We know that Andrew does live in Santa Barbara. Now, it's not the closest airport to Santa Barbara, but it's close enough. And if you can see right there, Simi Valley is right between the two. The other folks that we know live in that area in general is Rob McCoy, right? The McCoy family. I believe that Mikey does live in Arizona. If I'm not mistaken, Mikey is in Arizona itself nowadays. But if we're thinking about who our folks are that maybe have an association with this story, my thought is that Andrew, Johnny, and Rob McCoy, they all feel like the kind of people that I would at least want to know where they were and rule out, were you with Ben Shapiro? And if so, why? Why were you with Ben Shapiro? Ben Shapiro was in Simi Valley ostensibly to go and speak at the Reagan National Library. That's some think tank, basically, that, it's a conservative like think tank. It's a library, but it's like, that's where they go to give the speeches, right? And so it would make sense that he was there and planned to be there that day. I've been looking to see if maybe I can find what the actual location of the restaurant was because there's only so many really high-end upscale restaurants in that area. I have a few ideas, but I get the feeling that maybe Daisy is going to find it. So I'm like, girl, you find it because I don't know. And I also, for me anyway, I'm not 100% convinced right now that Ben would just tell us that he's the master. I'm just not convinced he's just going to tell us he's the mastermind, right? I don't know for sure. You guys, will you tell me in the chat if you guys think that that is more likely to you? Oh, also, will someone tell me if Barron goes? I don't know what time he's going today. It's Friday, and I know he's on his other schedule. And so whenever Barron does start to go, then I want to go watch it too. So we're going to get off here and we're going to go watch, and we're all going to go watch it together. I wouldn't want to, be trying to stream when I want to watch a show. So guys, just like let me know if he does do that. But I think that he's like on an old schedule today because yesterday and then no Candace today, right? So we're all figuring it out. We're all making our way, but I don't want to miss that. Anyway, another person is Tyler Boyer. I've had in the back of my mind. I think that Tyler Boyer might be a more important character than we've been giving him credit for. I know some of you guys have been on top of it with Tyler Boyer, and I'm so glad that you guys are tracking with that. Tyler Boyer is another person who I think it's like he deserves his own show. He deserves his own show. Barron. Well, yes, he does deserve his own show, but in a totally different way. Andrew deserves his own show because his background and his association with Johnny, it's past the point of us being able to ignore it now, especially with the fact that no one has ever said a whisper about the idea of Andrew being at Fort Banana, and yet there his name is, just with everybody else's. So realistically, we have to go and look. Oh, hi, I see Dinks in the chat. I'm like waving hi. Tyler Boyer owns the Charlie Kirk show. Yes, that is an excellent point. Yes, he does. So Tyler Boyer is someone who, according to insiders that I've spoken with, Tyler Boyer is actually very much the mastermind behind this post 2017 iteration of Turning Point USA. So Tyler Boyer is someone who has been kind of at the controls. I want to say that he may have actually entered into Turning Point back when they were still in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. It was like right in there, right when they moved toward Arizona. He is, according to insiders, the person who introduced, the McCoy family, Mikey McCoy, the person who introduced Andrew, aka Mr. Best Buy, Andrew Colvette, the person who may have introduced Charlie and Erica. I'm like, guys, he is important. That's really, really my opinion. And the fact that he has been holding himself like kind of out of the limelight, I feel like to me, that is always, always, always a clue. If someone is pushing other people forward so that we look at them and then staying kind of hidden back in the background, I'm always asking myself, so why is it that no one talks about them? Well, that's because they're hiding, right? That's because they're intentionally holding back so that people aren't as focused on them. That's my opinion anyway, especially when it comes to characters like Tyler, because he's smart. He's a smart guy, and he has been, I've heard, in charge of Arizona politics for the past decade, something like that. If someone is that important and that powerful and has just received a pardon from the president on federal charges, why are they not a more central part of this conversation? And why is it that no one has seemed to have had their attention focused on him? Not that investigators are like doing a disservice by that. I just think that there's very intentionally people pushed forward to be the ones that we're supposed to look at. Does that make sense? It's like we start to look really closely at, I don't know, we start to look really closely at maybe Andrew, for example, and then 5 minutes later, Erica is, I don't know, wearing the Janet Jackson costume, right? She's in like the Janet Jackson, like the, Free Your Mind, like she's got the hat on and she's giving the really strong speech again, or she's having some sort of threat against her life or something, some crazy thing going on with Erica. The minute that we start to look kind of anywhere else, I understand that she's viewed as this emotional asset, for better or worse, but it certainly does keep eyes off of other people, doesn't it? I mean, if I wanted to think about who our most likely suspects are in most cases for a murder, number one, you look at the spouse, right? Okay. And number two, you look at the business partners. Que bon, right? Who benefits? So when I've been thinking about who exactly it might be that is benefiting or that is hiding kind of in plain sight, it changes my vision of the list just a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that any of these people is not, like, we are still going to look at Ben. We're still going to look at Erica. Of course, we're still going to look at all of these folks. But we should think about if there is an attempt to kind of distract us in some ways, because that does happen. That is something that they do. And we know that this horrible PR strategy that they're trying to make into something, that's like pretty par for the course when you're getting close to an actual suspect list. So oh yeah, I probably should. You're right. My gosh, you guys. Let's see. So when we're conducting an investigation like this, in order for us to actually rule out other real potential options, we have to go through and say, how close can we get to certain? How close can we get to certain? Now, if someone was actually seen somewhere else, then that's a good way for us to rule it out. When I've been thinking about who our potential passenger is, I personally have settled on the most likely person being the commander of CENTCOM, which is Brad Cooper. That is my personal belief at this time because he is the person who was spotted or his name came up in the search, as well as being someone who really fits, in my opinion, all of the attributes of someone who would need that kind of privacy, discretion, VIP travel. His chief of staff were seen there. His is it his deputy? I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to look for that. Is it his co-deputy or his deputy? I think it was his I think it was his chief of staff and his deputy. For the commander of CENTCOM, that's Brad Cooper. He was who I had initially thought maybe was someone who was Brad Hansel instead of Brad Hansel himself, but eventually I did settle on it being Brad Hansel. And once I was able to see that he was there, then I was like, okay, is there another VIP? Brad Cooper came up in the search, Admiral Brad Cooper, along with his chief of staff and his deputy commander, all being searched at the same time. So that is my thought. I'm like, sorry guys. Yeah, we're getting there. Don't worry. Like we'll get there at some point. We're not professionals. That's okay. But we are passionate and we're trying to solve this thing. That's what really counts, in my opinion. So now I wanted to go really quick through. Hang on a second. I wanted for us to look at the Secret Service angle a little bit more. I wanted us to look at the Secret Service angle because I was not aware before rewatching Mitch the idea that the Secret Service was even present. I wasn't even aware that they were present at that time. The fact that not only was the Secret Service present at Fort Banana at the time, but also that they were appearing to direct the scene and were responsible for the detention of Mitch, that feels like it matters, guys. It really, really feels like it counts. So my thought is that we should take a look at some of these specific projects that the Secret Service has been working on, especially recently, because I think that they matter. And I do think that there's a real possibility, unfortunately, that there could be a component of this that we have not been paying enough attention to. So this is, let's see. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm going to learn how to, it's not even going to be known as pulling a Baron anymore. It's going to be known as pulling an Anna because I'm doing it every 5 minutes. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so sorry. No, he's the king of it. We'll let him have that because you know why? We're going to do it this time and we're not going to do it again. Fingers crossed. So, okay, so this is under the United States Secret Service. So they have these special security events. And this is what I really wanted us to look at very specifically. For national special security events, that is when the Secret Service is being tasked with handling an event of the highest level of national security. So examples of that would include a presidential inauguration. I know people hop in and out of live streams a little bit, so I just want to make sure that I'm clear. Mitch Snow believes that he identified a official from or a boss from the Secret Service at this meeting. And initially, when I was reviewing this information, it wasn't occurring to me that it could be important that a Secret Service person was here. Once I started looking more into Mark Amoti, it started to occur to me that he sits over the appropriations subcommittee that is specifically tasked for funding this portion of the Secret Service. The reason that I am looking sideways a little bit at the Secret Service is because, guys, we know that there has now recently become an element of other recent events that are important. Okay. So when I started to look back, I said, oh boy, Secret Service being there, being on site, this is not good. We need to look really, really close at what the potential involvement could be from persons at the Secret Service. Now, these events are not every Secret Service event is going to be this NSSE. This specifically is only the highest level, and that's what Mark Amoti funds. I'm like, are you guys seeing where I'm going with this? I don't want to try to push too much the idea that that's necessarily what happens. But when I read that, I absolutely had chills and thought to myself, this is something that we have to investigate further, because it's something that I don't think that we were really tracking. Once we heard the name Erica, once we heard the name Brian, of course, all eyes went directly to the fact that there's a potential that Erica and Brian were there. There's a potential, right? And we can't rule that out. But the other people that were there, they matter too. And now that we feel a high degree of confidence that we've identified who a number of those persons are, well, why were additional persons there? Because if we're even thinking that this was a demo, and that's our current working theory, well, then explain to me what the Secret Service needs to be there for. That's my real question. Because the Secret Service, especially specifically the part that Mark Amoti works with, is for the highest profile events. Now, we saw that event previously in Butler, and we saw it at the inauguration. And we also saw it for Charlie's memorial. And so I'm like, I don't even want to say it out loud. You guys see where I'm going with that? I really hope that you do. I hope that I'm not speaking out of turn here, and I'm not trying to make any kind of allegations, but do you guys understand what it is that I'm saying when I'm saying that these events that all seem to be a little bit related to each other and may possibly be all part of the same story, that planning and demonstration and potential meeting between all of these persons really makes sense if you think about potentially what these conversations were about, whether they were about Provo or whether they were about Glendale and a memorial service. So I just wanted you guys to start thinking about that stuff, because I don't want to be the only person who's thinking about that stuff. I hope that that makes sense, right? Now, oh, you know what? I just saw a comment go by. As someone said, I hope you talk about Andrew Bailey. Okay, I am going to refer to him as AB. Does everybody know? No, Elizabeth, I do not have mods because this is the first time I have ever live streamed. Sorry. That's why it's so professional around here, guys. Obviously. Hello. No, that would be so wonderful to have them one day, but not yet. But now we have StreamYard, so we're off to a great start, I guess. Anyway, let's see. Oh, I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know if people are being annoying or something in the chat. Okay, Elizabeth, thank you for offering. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. So after I'm done, then I'm going to talk to you about how to do that. But you guys are so awesome. So thank you. So going back to what I was just saying about this potential, the potential connection to this meeting and to the fact that we cannot rule out Mark Amoti. Also, I think it's important to make a point to say, guys, I know that Pete Hegseth is someone who, oh, what did we decide to call him? Oh my gosh, you guys, you made a comment the other day and I loved it so much. Somebody said that they call him Pancake Pete in DC. Apparently that's an actual nickname. That's not a nickname that I have ever heard, but guys, you're kidding. Like, I had no idea that anybody called him Pancake Pete. I'm calling him Pancake Pete now because I've been struggling with, what little nickname I was going to use to keep referring to him as, right? So we're going with Pancake Pete now. Anyway, so Pancake Pete is somebody who I had long thought it's possible that he is the person who was there at Fort Banana, because he fits really well in that like potential scenario. But guys, he allegedly had an alibi, and you guys, it was AI. I'm like, can I show you this picture? Oh my gosh, I have to let me try to find this for you guys. Hang on a second. I'm going to try to, so hold on a minute. Let's see here. Okay. He, according to him, he was at CENTCOM, and I'm like, I'm just going to show you guys because maybe you will be able to spot what it is that I'm talking about. Let's see here. CENTCOM, helicopter. I bet you that it pops up because he was really excited about it and he thought he was so cool for it. Okay, here it is. Yay. Okay. Yes. Oh my gosh, yay, that one worked and it didn't. I didn't. Not pulling a beer in. Yay. Okay, so let's see. this image right here. I'm like, class, can anyone tell me what the problem is? I'm like, you guys are all the best and the brightest, so I know that you'll understand what I'm saying when I'm saying to you. Do you guys see right away what the problem is with that photo? So in this photo, this is Pete. This is Pancake Pete and his actual alibi for where he was during the time of that meeting. Now, I don't know if he provided Candace with a different alibi. He could have, but the one that he provided to the public was evidence of him being right here at, some undisclosed base outside of CENTCOM. And the thing is, he's hopping out of a helicopter on what is ostensibly some sort of airfield. I'm like, oh, I got to close it up so that you guys can really see why this is it's baloney, guys. It is absolute and utter baloney. It is just, I looked at that and I thought, oh my gosh, we are truly being run by the Department of Podcasters. Oh, no, I'm not going to bear on it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Hold on. Give me 1 sec. Okay. Yay, we're learning. Okay, here we go. So this is how Pete Hegseth provides an alibi. He says that he is someone who was at an undisclosed base in CENTCOM, and therefore, due to this photo right here, he could not have been anywhere else. This is where he was, guys. Nobody worry about it. First of all, can you guys see what the actual ground, what the landing surface is of that? Those are tiny little like pellets. Those are like lava rocks. They are super, super light little rocks. Now I want you to think about what a helicopter such as that does when it's landing. We know that helicopter blades, they spin very fast and they create lift. When a helicopter is creating lift, how are they doing that? Well, they are pushing the air down, and that allows them to take off and go up. So guys, but yes, shoals. Someone said it, shoals or shale. That is the kind of, stone that's down there. Do you guys know what a helicopter would do if it landed on that? So the downwash, it's called downwash, and the downwash that's created by a helicopter landing on this surface like that is that is baloney. There is no way on earth that a helicopter on a military airfield, they would have a heart attack if they even had one of those stones out on an airfield. This is not a war zone, by the way. This is not, you can see that there's buildings in the back. I have a friend of mine is an age 60 specific mechanic. When I showed them this picture, I said, so is there any shot that that's a normal, what airfield is that? What even airfield? They said, you're out of your mind. There's no way that a helicopter is going to land on an airfield like that, because the downwash that's created by that helicopter's blade spinning would absolutely, it would destroy the helicopter within and the idea that they're pretending as though that's just some undisclosed base. So all of us would never, don't question it, guys. Don't ask any questions. This is insane. It's, you know what? Oh my gosh, someone just made such a good point. Wait, can I show it on the screen? I'm going to try to. Someone just made same mistake that they made with the moon landing. This is a moon landing level piece of baloney. This is absolutely moon landing level, guys. There's no way on earth. So Pete, Pancake, if I may, please stop doing this to us. Please. You can be places that the public doesn't need to know about. Doesn't mean that you were there. Doesn't mean that you weren't. But please stop treating the American people as though we are absolute idiots, guys. Please, please, please. Pancake, don't do us like that. Because when we see things like this, it decreases the amount of trust that we're able to have in you making good decisions. And I would say that your track record has that in question to begin with. So it's this kind of level of nonsense. Now, Pete, he does fly a great deal on that aircraft that he, the one in question, the SAM 702, that same 99-0404. I'm like, oh, you guys want to do something fun? You want to go check ADSB to see where that aircraft is? I think we should. I always check. I always keep a little eye on it. They're on my hot list of the places that I want to look at. How do I take this coming off the screen? I don't know. There we go. We're learning on the fly, and that's fine. Thank you guys for being patient. Hold on. Okay, so I want to go and see if we can like spot it because sometimes we can. May as well. There's going to be so many commercials because I'm not logged into my thing, but that's okay. We're going to do it anyway because I want to see where it is. So Pete himself, he flies very frequently in this aircraft that is known as 990404. That just means that you guys are not knowing my location. Stop. This is OPSEC 101. Okay, so this is adsbexchange.com. I'm like, I can give you guys like a quick little overview. I know that Baron has used it a couple times, so maybe you guys are all totally familiar with it, but I just wanted to remind everybody of kind of this site, and it's one of my favorites. I don't want a Honda Accord right now, guys. Stop. Okay, so this site itself, oh no, not another Baron. I'm going to cry. Oh my gosh, stop. Okay, hold on. It almost happened, but it's not going to. Thank you. We're in. Just delete that from your memories for the past 10 seconds while I've been speaking on the wrong screen. It's okay. Okay, so guys, this is adsbexchange.com. This is a really good site that you could use to go ahead and look through and find different aircraft. Now, personally, for me, it's one of my favorites. I know that Baron has shown it to us a lot of times. I really would love nothing more if people felt really comfortable with it because, guys, like, aviation is so fun. I'm so sorry. I don't care. Like, it's so fun. It's like my hobby to look because this is all part of the digital stakeout. Obviously, like flying in an aircraft, I mean, it's something I do, I guess, if I have to. But I really like to keep an eye on where people are because it's the best way for us to be able to keep up with people's movements. I mean, if you think about like the kind of a stakeout like that the FBI would be on, where they're in that little van that's like a little bakery truck and they're, following along and they're trying to listen in and understand what it is that they're seeing, where's everybody going? Well, you can do the exact same thing with aircraft because the super rich, they treat these aircraft like it's their car, guys. And for the government, they show them, especially within the United States. Now, for me, I'm not like, they don't show like fighters. Well, they do show fighters. I'll show you guys. But that's not really as much for me what I'm looking at. In my opinion, though, it is good pieces of information that we can see to kind of see like where everyone is at and what they're up to. So this is now, guys, I know this looks like a lot of aircraft. These are just the military aircraft that we have up at the moment. And you can see a list of them. You can actually use this top button, this little U at the top, and that is going to allow you to just select military aircraft. So if you guys ever get on there, you are going to see an entire sea of aircraft. Like you won't be able to see the country because you'll be able to just see like, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it. You know what? We're doing it. I don't care. We'll see. It's fine. That's how it looks when you look at all the aircraft that are currently up in this moment over the country. You see that? It's a sea. Like you can't even make out the actual country itself, right? That is a current live look at all of the planes that are up right now in the United States. Well, Mexico's in there too and some of Canada, but you know what I mean. So if you want, the very first thing that you should do if you ever go to this website, it's pretty good. It's okay. It's a good one. It's good. It's the best of the free aviation websites. If you want to look at all of the aircraft, the very first thing you want to do is just go to the top and hit that U. And what that does is that makes it so that all you can see is military aircraft. It just basically makes it so that there's like, what is that? Like a 100th, of the normal amount of aircraft that you would have to be kind of following along with to see what you're seeing. Once you're over here, then you're going to see all of them. They're all different colors. Those different colors, that's actually their altitude. So let's see, pink, that's like the highest that they're flying. They fly at different altitudes. And then obviously when folks are landing versus, taking off, they're going to be at different altitudes. It's how high they are in the sky. So that's what all of those different colors mean. But when we are trying to look for someone specifically, we just go and search them. And see, I'm hoping you guys can see my cursor. I really do hope so. You can organize them, of course. Please organize them every time. Otherwise, you will spaz out and be like, oh my gosh, who is that and where is that? But you can organize them by type. That's what I do usually, just so that I can go and scroll directly over to the private jets, as in like 990404, which is what we're looking for. If you don't see all of them, because there's a bunch of aircraft up, which is what's happening right now, you just hit all table lines, and then that is going to pull in like everybody onto this list that's on the right-hand side. So when you're in here, then you can just go over to, see it's alphabetical, and see who's this. Oh, look, we have a SAM flight that's up right now. Let's take a peek at who that is. Well, look at that. That is another SAM flight. Now, it's not that this is the only SAM flight in the whole world. In fact, I can spy another one. Does anyone see the other SAM flight that's up right now? Did I get it? Oh my gosh, no, that's not it. That's Ruck 90. That's somebody else. That's a Chinook, I think. Okay. There it is. Okay, so this is a SAM 267. So this is like a totally different kind of aircraft. This is a, how do I put this? Those ones, that SAM flight, that's just a little bit less, I don't want to say suspicious. That's not the right word. Let me not say suspicious. That one, in my opinion, is probably flying somebody home for the weekend. That is more what we're thinking of right there. See, we can tell that by a couple different ways. I'm like, I hope this isn't, can you guys tell me in the chat if this is boring and you don't want to talk about this? Oh, adsbexchange.com. adsbexchange.com. And just so you know, those ones specifically, that is the free desktop version. This is free, and this is, this is for everybody to look at. So guys, like, tell me if you think it's worth it, like, because it's super exciting. But also, I get the feeling that if more people are looking at this stuff, then it's going to be good. Like, accountability is the whole point of this country, last time I checked, right? And having like free and open information. So I want to make sure that more people feel comfortable with these things and these tools that are out there, because everybody should be on the digital stakeout. We have to keep them accountable and keep them honest. And so they're doing a lot of stuff. You can, once you feel more comfy, then you'll see. So let's go back to it. Sorry. Okay. So now, when we're talking about SAMs, these SAMs, that's special air mission. How we can see in the top left, that SAM call sign means that this aircraft in particular is on a special air mission. Usually, when that number that comes after it is a low number like that, 267, usually that means that it's taking somebody home for the weekend, taking them, it's taking a cabinet member. Maybe they're going to a meeting, maybe they're going somewhere in particular. That's all fine. But it's just conducting normal business. Where it starts to get interesting, in my opinion, is when you see these different modes that the aircraft are flying on. The mode is, let's focus on the right-hand side here. The mode is the way that other people are able to track the movement of that aircraft. Now you see how there's different colors. You see how some of these, most of them are blue, but then you see that there's a number of them that are this gold color. If they're on that gold color, let's see, who is our little person that we were looking at? Oh, they just landed. They're sneaky. That's okay. That's fine. Let's take, there's Air Force One. Okay, let's take a peek. Here it is. Okay, so this is Air Force One. So Air Force One is up and flying right now. I don't know where that means that the dawn is going, but that is Air Force One. And so let me minimize it here. Now this is a different one, guys. I think that this is is this the other Air Force One? Is this the Qatari one? Might be. So what you can do is they're circling for some reason, or maybe they're coming in for a landing. Oh, I think they're coming in for a landing. So we're going to watch Air Force One land at Camp Springs. This is where they land. This is Joint Base Andrews in Maryland. So this is Trump returning from somewhere. Just so you guys know, if the aircraft itself is labeled as Air Force One, that means that the president generally is aboard. Unless they're trying to trick us or something. I don't really think that they are. That would be very weird. But, just so you know, our greatest ally, they do that. But in the US, we're pretty good about it. We're really pretty, on top of it. And so generally speaking, if you see that Air Force One call sign, that means he's aboard and that they are flying as Air Force One on official government business. Guys, I'm pretty sure, is it? Oh my gosh, I think it is. I think that this is the new Trump Force One, the one that he got from Qatar, because you can see that the color of the bottom of it is that darker blue, and that's unusual. Also, this actual number sign here, this registration number, think of that registration number as kind of like a VIN number for a car. right? So that means that that aircraft is always called 25-3300. So whether it's flying as Air Force One because Don is aboard, or whether it's flying as a Venus flight, something else, that is always going to be their VIN number. Just like you could change plates on a car, but it's going to have the same VIN, right? Now, the reason it just went grayed out like that is because that means it landed. Don't worry, did not land over here in this pond. It's just because they drop off right at the outset of Joint Base Andrews because it's for security reasons. It's just about them being able to kind of move around that aircraft in particular and all the aircraft that are coming in and out of Joint Base Andrews privately. Now, that's all good for that. Like, this is not a bad thing at all. Just so you guys know, like, that's not a bad thing for them to want this kind of privacy and operational security. In fact, I'm like, guys, can you teach Fort Banana to be a little bit more on top of it like you guys are? But okay. Anyway, the thing is that I saw this comment right here. Hold on. Let me show you guys. I hope he debugged it. Guys, I'm like, I don't like the idea. In fact, I thought that they grounded this one. So, okay, so recently, that Don, he received that other aircraft. He received this one that he was just flying in as Air Force One from Qatar. Now, I was really worried about it. The whole aviation community was really worried about it because not only did they fast track it to get it out the door quicker, but like to get it ready for him quicker, but they had a lot of security concerns and they decided that they were going to prioritize actually having it delivered in a timely manner, as in like they fast tracked it super bad, but they cut corners on the security. So did they debug it? We don't know. Like, did they? Who knows? Now, then I remember being like, oh boy, that's not good. I don't like that. You know what? I can be as mad at Don as I ever want to be. He's still my president. So nobody better mess with him. That's how I feel. Like, no one can do anything to him. Sorry. So anyway, I was really worried about it when I saw that they had like fast tracked everything. And I'm not saying they cut corners, but I have questions. Okay. But then a few weeks ago, they grounded it. And he like had no like actual like a well-screened Air Force One to fly on. Isn't that crazy? Can you guys even imagine him going in? I mean, so I've been very worried about this because I'm like, can I tell you guys a little story about like an aviation thing that's happening right now? Okay. So in aviation right now, there's been a lot of concerns over the past year and a half about what's going on with aviation and whether it's that there's been some deregulation that's causing problems or whether it's been a bad actor. You guys, right. I see some, hold on, let me see. Someone made this comment. I'm like, I can't read it out loud. I hope you guys read it on the screen because that feels relevant, right? Oh, should I take the chat off the screen because it's covering the thing? Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm sorry. Let me turn that off. That is such a good point. Thank you. Okay, so guys, there's been some questions recently in the aviation community. We're worried because there's been some unexplained stuff. In fact, that's something that I was working on for a really long time before everything happened with Charlie. That, I was spending probably most of 2025 was something that I was looking at, that there was a very concerning pattern of specifically Boeing heavy jets on takeoff and then a number of fast and light jets having these controlled flight into terrain. Without getting too boring, they're having problems, right? And we can't totally tell what it is. We can't totally tell, but it does appear that there's some potential that this is being done on purpose. And that's terrifying. Now, this has happened a couple times with commercial airliners. I'm not saying it's not safe to fly. I'm not saying that at all. It's very specific. And that's what really worries me is that, a lot of the circumstances were around the same kind of aircraft that Trump Force One is. And so, I don't want to engage in conspiracy or anything like that, but I'm worried about it, especially given the fact that there was that aviation incident over the Potomac. Actually, I'm like, here, let me show you guys. I'm not going to show you anything graphic, of course, but let me show you kind of what I'm talking about here. So there's Air Force One, right? We can see it on the screen. And the deal is that they're located in Washington, D.C. I'm like, I bet you everybody knows exactly where I'm talking about, but just in case you never know, a little quick geography didn't never hurt anyone. Okay, so for example, this is the eastern seaboard, right? We're looking at, right here where the actual aircraft is, that is DC. And then you have it kind of going out onto the entire East Coast. If you take a look at this river right here, this is the Potomac. Okay. And so that is it's a very large river. It's a really big river. And as you can see, the proximity, right, to this is Reagan International Airport here. I'm like, oh, let me take these off and then you guys can see probably a little bit better. Okay. So see this little cluster of planes right here. These are planes that are parked at Washington Reagan Airport in DC. So they're just all on the ground. That's why they're grayed out like that. But if we scroll back a little bit, you can see here's DC. The White House is going to be like right here, Capitol Hill, all of that. And then you can see this little line of planes going into the airport there. This is all normal. This is fine. This is good. Nothing bad. Don't worry. Oh boy, this is a CRJ. This is the exact same kind. This is why I hate this. Okay, so back in January, of last year, so a year and a half now, January 2025. Unfortunately, one of these planes, CRJ, which is it's a specific kind of plane, right? It's a Bombardier Regional CRJ. It's just like a small commercial plane. And unfortunately, guys, the thing is that they had a midair collision with a helicopter, and it's awful, and it's just awful. And I don't want to, it was awful. But this midair collision thing had not happened in a very, very, very long time in this country. That does not happen. It is just not something that happens. So, of course, there was a huge investigation into it. When they investigated it, they found that it had run into a very specific helicopter. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Let me hide your comment. I'm sorry. There. Is that better? Okay. Sorry, guys. So anyway, the thing is that it had this collision midair with a helicopter. And the scary thing about it is that helicopter, that exact helicopter, as in that bird from that squadron, guys, that specific bird is tasked with flying Hexath and JD in the event of an emergency. That's the exact squadron. I think that there's 8 of those helicopters like in existence, and that is the exact one that they ran into. So people have been really, really worried for a long time. The idea that is that the kind of thing that you would think is totally accidental? Is that the kind of situation that you would think is totally accidental? Because gosh, that's a heck of a coincidence. It's basically as if someone had run another plane into Air Force One. Like it is that specific of a helicopter. That's terrifying, right? And so this is a huge, huge thing. Then it went through the entire National Traffic Safety Board. This is a huge investigation. And they found that someone had messed with the altimeter. That's not good, right? Now, we don't know if that's the kind of thing that's an operator error. I mean, I don't know. But what I do know is the man who was investigating it, who is the leader, the chairman of the National Traffic Safety Board, was furious. And a few weeks after he flipped out because of this event, he was fired from that board. Stripped, and he was probably one of the most trusted voices in aviation and transportation in this country. Like he was one of the most trusted individuals in the entire field. And people are still angry to this day. So for him to be complaining about this very specific thing that looks like it could be a little bit pagery, do you know what I'm saying, guys? Like, because I'm like, okay, why would somebody do that? Well, to know how to do that, I mean, that's the fear, obviously. Not saying that's what happened, but that's the concern. So anyway, long story short, there's a lot of questions in aviation, and that community where it's like really tight knit. And so people take care of each other, they talk to each other, and that's where I've gotten a ton of my education and learning. I also have like a lot of family that's involved with these things. So that's, where my background comes from in this. But I think it's important to think about in the context of these events that happen, these events that take place, they're real life sometimes. And so I always just try to take it really seriously when I'm looking at these events and trying to establish if I think that they are important, critical, national security related, or if they're just happenstance. That can be happenstance. I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce that. But it can be random, yes, but it also can be very specific. Now, quickly before I go and look up that specific aircraft, that SAM aircraft, I just want to check where Air Force One was coming from. So it looks like, where was Air Force One coming from? Were they this side? Yeah, they were. So they were coming from New York. So you can see right here. Is that JFK? Yeah. So they're coming from JFK. Now, I don't know for what reason Dawn was over there earlier today, but not even a problem, not even anything strange. That's totally fine in the end. But let's go and find our little mystery jet. It's not a mystery. It's probably Hexeth, but I don't know for sure. I know that he flies on that jet in particular a lot. There it is. Okay, so this is our same jet that flies as SAM 702. So this is our SAM 702 aircraft. Now, it's not flying as 702 today, but let's follow it. It is flying. It's up and flying, and it's flying out of San Antonio. I'm like, oh, I wonder what was that out of? Yeah, that was out of San Antonio. So it's flying as 286. So 286, again, when they are those lower numbers, a lot of times those lower numbers like that just means that somebody's being transported. I'm like, does Pancake Pete live in Texas? No. Pancake doesn't live in Texas, does he? I don't even know if Pancake does. Oh my gosh, what a kind super chat. I love that. Thank you so much for sending that. That's so wonderful and kind. I appreciate you guys. I'm like, I should read this. Oh my goodness. So, oh, this is so kind. I just wanted to make sure that I'm going to read them at the end. And then I just want to make sure I wasn't missing a question from anybody. Because if somebody has a question, I want you guys to tell me, please. But thank you. So, guys, just so you know, when this aircraft here, this 99-0404 is flying, when it's flying with a low number like that, that usually means it's just conducting normal business. Say that Marco Rubio has to go home, or go home for the weekend, or say that Pete Hegseth just is going to a baseball game. I don't know, whatever. It's taking cabinet officials around on non-essential government business. It's fine, right? The thing is, when it's flying as a SAM 700 or a SAM 800, that is where the question comes in. And that's why my hypothesis has been the idea that it was, flying under the White House military office. That's a conclusion that Barron was able to, not a conclusion, but I think that Barron was on that track with it too when he FOI'd it and they sent him back this crazy piece of paper that was just like, here, good luck, sorry, that's awful. So when I went and looked into it, I was able to access a certain database, and long story short, it wasn't flying under its normal command. It was flying something strange. And I'm pretty sure that that is actually the White House military office. Something to keep in mind, though, guys, is that when an aircraft is being scheduled outside of regular service, the other folks that it does that for are the Secret Service. So, things to think about, right? I don't know if that necessarily means, I don't know if that means anything. But just as I've been running across all of these Secret Service projects, I'm concerned. Oh, hold on a second. I'm like, oh, is my computer tired of me live streaming? I don't know. Hang on a sec, guys. I'm sorry about that. So, okay, if my computer is really angry at me, I'm like, maybe I should close some other tabs. Let me try doing that. It's probably too many tabs open. Again, this is our first time live streaming. And also, we just got this browser, sorry. And so it's a lot of new stuff around here. And one day we are going to be good at computer, but that day is not today. So anyway, let me take a look back here to see if there's anything else that's interesting. Because a lot of times I'll run into some pretty fascinating stuff. This is one of the websites that, again, I like to be on my digital stakeout. So between my combination of ADSB Exchange and Google Trends, I just like to look. I like to know what's going on. I really do think that it's valuable for people to have this kind of information and see what we can see, and then see if it has anything to do with our current working theory, of course, but also it allows me to know, oh, look, this person is going to the Islamabad talks, or this person is traveling under a strange call sign. And then we can just have a better awareness when we are observing what they're up to, right? Because they certainly don't want to tell us, but it's okay. For a lot of things, it's totally fine for them to be private. Some stuff, it's like, guys, why are you guys trying to hide this? It's really, really off-putting. Anyway, so let's see a couple others before we move on, if that's okay with you guys, because I'm going to show you guys some really interesting stuff that I want more people to be aware of and look at, so that it's not just me looking at it. So anyway, what we're looking at on the right side of the screen is all of the military aircraft. I know people jump in and out of live streams. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. This is a list of all of the military aircraft that are up over the United States at this current moment. You can see on the map that they are divided up by altitude, and you can see on the very far right a list of all of those aircraft divided up, as I have them right now, by type. Now, that lets us know that there's some interesting ones, but the one that I wanted to point out is one that I think has a little bit of relevance to our situation with Charlie. That is because there are some really specialty aircraft that the United States uses for good reason, all like good things, but they keep coming up in this one place. And I keep thinking to myself, this feels like it could be relevant. So this is the Cobra 41. This is a rivet joint. And a rivet joint is a really specialized aircraft that is specifically there to monitor, to make sure that there's no bad guys doing bad things in our country. And it holds a really similar role to another aircraft that we've talked about a lot, that has recently been renamed, but you guys will probably recognize. And these are the Hades jets. So the Cobra jet and the Tron jet, they perform the same super specialized security and reconnaissance missions. They perform the same ones as our Hades jet. The Hades jet in particular is the one that flew by Provo on that morning. It's weird. It's weird enough that it's on the list. I don't totally know what it means. I know that John Cullen has been looking into it a great deal. He also was gone. Like he was gone for a while, and I don't know where he went, and I still want to know really bad what it was that he was doing for all those months, because I wanted him to be here helping us, but that's okay. He had stuff going. That's fine. Regardless, he has for a long time been really, really sure that that is a big part of the story. And I don't necessarily disagree. I just don't know for sure where it fits. What I do know is that they have recently specifically attempted to go ahead and turn that program into a bunch of other jets. They're all in the developmental phase, but they still have jets that have performed that same exact service this entire time. So I don't know. I get the feeling that it's just that they want to have newer, fancier toys, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that, right? But recently, they've been making a point to use these kind of old school ones. The places that they keep flying around are a lot of the folks, the places that our Egyptian planes travel to. So for me, I'm really glad that they're actually looking. I am glad that they're actually looking. These are jets that are specifically used to make sure that the bad guys aren't up to mischief in our country. That's good. But the idea that they're using kind of the shoddy older equipment, we have managed to send several of them to the greatest ally. So I don't know why the United States is still waiting on ours. But we did send our own over there. So I'm like, not going to get political about it. I don't love it though. I'll tell you guys the truth. I'm like, I want them here. They are very good and important jets that should be guarding us, right? So anyway, those are the only ones that are up at the moment, but you can go ahead and you can always scroll through this actual map, but make sure that you keep it on military only, because otherwise there's just so many aircraft. Another quick spot that I do want us to check, just because, oh, look at that. Look where Tron is. Remember I was telling you guys that jet that's really similar to the Hades program jet? Look where they are coming out of. That is Fort Banana. Well, they could have been actually taking off from Tucson itself, but let's see what the actual altitude was. So something that's interesting is this is Tucson here, where it's technically over, right? Here, down here is Sierra Vista. Is this making sense for you guys? I'm like, tell me if people are continuing to follow along with this stuff. I just saw a question. Okay, Baron's gonna come on in 30 minutes. Is that right? Oh, okay, he's on in 35 minutes. I am going to get off in just a couple minutes just because I want to watch Baron too. Hello, I have to do my little research along, guys. But I did just want to mention this about Fort Banana. So here's the situation. Oh, but I did see a question, and then I'll read super chats, and then I'll hop out of here. But do you guys remember when Charlie saw the UFO? I don't know anything about that, Jeannie. That's fascinating. Did Charlie say that he saw a UFO? I actually don't know about that. I wonder where that took place. So the only stuff that I know about UFOs right now is that they have been working on them, and it's not just in New Mexico, and it's not just in Vegas either. They have a lot of testing and training in some of these other bases. The one specifically is the Nevada Test and Training Range that I have heard as of late. There's a lot of interest there. So whenever I'm looking at outside of Vegas, then I always keep an eye out for interesting reports that come through, especially from aviators, because they will report having seen unusual aircraft movements. And sometimes I wonder if it's a UFO. So anyway, let me just wrap up this little part here though, and then I'll read super chats. So for Sierra Vista, that is right here. It's really close to the border with Mexico, but they do all of this really specific cloaking of that airspace because it's such a high priority area, right? They don't want people to know who's coming in and out of that little range. And I understand why. That's okay for them to not want, prying eyes to be aware of. But what they do specifically is they fly out due northwest, just like this, and then they take themselves off of cloak mode, and they turn on their transponder right here over Tucson Airport. So while it looks to a lot of people like they're just flying out of Tucson, let's look and see what the actual altitude was. Okay, so today they are flying out of Tucson. So this is the only way that you can really tell. So you can see right here, this label that says that they were on the ground, that actually lets us know, okay, they were actually on the ground. They were there. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but this is Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. So when we were talking about the fact that Tucson and Sierra Vista were both really important, I think it's wise for us to keep in mind that's an entire Air Force Base right there that's at Tucson. So if this was a military operation, it is very, very possible that folks flew into Tucson and just drove to Sierra Vista. We should be keeping that in mind. It's a 1 hour and 8 minute drive. And so realistically, it could have been either. There were so many cloaked aircraft into Tucson that day. Oh my gosh, I was going crazy. I must have watched that aircraft footage from that day so many times. And they specifically turn their transponders off and then fly right in there. And now it's like we're supposed to not know who that was. It's the same thing that they did. Do you guys remember when N888KG flew out of PVU? They flew out of PVU and then they turned their transponder off. And then they said, oh, well, it's just a really difficult area. It's just a really hard area because there's all these mountains, so nobody could see our transponder data. You know that they have satellite, that they're using a satellite. It's like, that's not a thing. If your transponder is off, unless you are in maybe a little Cirrus or some little, the kind that your grandpa has where he's the aviator with a little leather helmet on, that kind of aircraft, maybe they will have a period of time. Say they're flying out of Venezuela, right? They're flying over the ocean. They're flying over a really, which obviously that aircraft would never fly over the ocean. So I'm talking about a little propeller jet. That kind of aircraft, there is a potential that they could lose that transponder. But if somebody in a private jet has their transponder turned off in the United States, do you guys know what the size of that fine would be? Do you guys have any idea what just the size of the fine would be? Oh my, the FAA must have been there's no way. And if they have if they have the option to do that, it's because they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. It's like the idea of somebody coming and parking right in front of a police station, right? There's certain circumstances where maybe that's okay. Maybe they have an emergency. Maybe they, are the mayor. Maybe it's the Secret Service or whatever, right? But generally speaking, if you or I went and we pulled right up to City Hall and parked like in a fire lane, this is a huge problem, right? Well, that's the same thing as this idea that these people on N888 KG were on. It's like them doing that and just being you or I, just pulling up in front of right in front of City Hall during rush hour. We're getting a ticket. We're getting in trouble. That is not normal. And so I will not be gaslit into thinking that that was a normal thing by that Maxfield family. That was strange. And I don't love it. Now, I know that everybody probably wants to go and get ready for bed. Let me read the super chats though, just to say thank you to you guys. And I'm so appreciative so much. You guys were so kind about my first live ever. I really love the idea of interacting with you guys. I'm always, whenever I make a video, I'm always thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I really want to know what they think about this or what questions they'll have. And you guys will post such good questions in the comments. And then I'm just sitting there going, oh man, I wish that I had included that information, or, oh, that's such a good point. I need to go and explore that. I would love, love, love more than anything for us to be able to do that. And I feel like live streaming is the best way to do it. But obviously I am a novice, so we're working on it. But if you would do me the hugest favor, and if you haven't already left a comment about, if you think that that's a better method for you guys, again, the entire point of this is figuring this thing out together. That's all I care about. And so however it's best for us to do that, that's what I want to do. So, oh my gosh. Okay, so let me put these up on the screen and then, I can come back to just me. Okay, cool. Thank you, Kieran. Love you too so much. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see these familiar faces. This just thrills me more than anything. I so appreciate it. Guys, I just got my Baron notification. 30 minutes. I'm like, countdown is on. Don't worry. Thank you, Kira. I appreciate you so much. Okay, Nana. Am I saying Nana right? Will you please tell me, because I heard Danks say yesterday, he said Nana. And I was like, I swear it's Nana because I thought it was Hannah backwards. So please let me know if that's what it is. Nana. Hey Anna, so excited to be live with you. Well, not with you, but while you're live, you know what I mean. So happy to hear your work's being found. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to just be part of solving this thing. That's all I care about, is figuring this thing out, and also finding a community of people that care just as much as I do. That's the exciting part for me. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Oh, I'm so excited. My big dream is for us to do group research. You know what I mean? So that we can all feel comfortable with these systems and stay 10 steps ahead of them, which we're going to do regardless. It's not that hard for us to stay 10 steps ahead of them because they're not sending us their best, guys. But I would love if we have the opportunity to have that kind of thing with our community, and then we do member lives and can speak freely. You know what I mean? So thank you for joining, Ozzy. Sharon, oh my gosh, this is Sharon. This is my Nana. This is my Nana from another mother, I guess. Oh my gosh, I just love her so much. She's so wonderful. You are going to need to download and save your info, then send copies to Candace and Baron. Love you. Thank you very much for that insight, and you are completely correct. And yes, I want to reassure you guys that I am very specifically making sure that I always, always, always am disseminating sensitive information to folks who have much bigger platforms than I do. I'm always making sure to take care of that. First of all, one, because this is a joint effort. It is not going to be just me who solves this thing. It's going to be all of us, right? It really is going to take all of us. So I don't ever want to hold information back from other people who are trying to figure out what happened. That's one. Two, by the time I say it on a camera, I want it to be like already something that someone with an even bigger platform is aware of. And so therefore, sorry, evil villains or whatever, it's too late now because bigger people than me already know. So thank you for the advice. And I'm definitely heeding that advice. Critter, hi. Love that you are going live, Anna. Hi, Kristen. I'm so glad to see you. And yes, I'm like, how does Baron do this? You guys, if I wasn't already just absolutely so impressed with that man, how does he do this every day? How does he do this? He's just, wow. He's just, yeah. Okay, let's see. Oh, thank you for becoming a member. That makes me so happy. Chill 2353. I enjoy your videos. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Chill. I really appreciate that. I really, really, really enjoy working on this stuff. So it's just crazy to me, the idea that other people care as much as I do and that they want to talk about this stuff. I'm in heaven about it, but that's the wrong way to think of it. Yeah, it's a I wish that we were here under better circumstances, don't you guys? That's what I keep thinking about. But I keep thinking also about the fact that Charlie spoke so eloquently, even in those private text messages to Candace, about how important it was that she carry on the fight and that she was going to be left in this position of responsibility about completing the mission. And so I think that I, of course, wish that the circumstances were different, but I'm thinking it's so important that, this work get finished, that it's a passion. That's the right way to put it. I'm incredibly passionate about it. It's devastating, but I'm passionate about it. So we soldier on. Okay. Let's see. Thank you so much, Laugh66. Anna is smarter than most. Listen, we all have our little pockets of intellect and our own little life stories that have made us who we are and prepare us to be ready for, different pieces of information and kind of weaving together the mosaic of our own intellect. And so, just like I have always been so lucky to have people share that information with me, I want to share with other people. I'm so sorry. I have to go faster because I think that my computer is really mad at me and I've never ever done this. Everybody calm down now. Number one life fund. Who's going to match me? Thank you. I'm missing that little puppy. I just saw that little puppy yesterday. I'm so happy. Oh my gosh. I love that little pepperoni. I'm like, that looks like a large poodle. Guys, I'm going to sit here and just yap the entire time. This is so much fun. Mary Garcia, thank you so much. Excellent work, Anna. I appreciate your hard work and your ability to articulate clearly what your investigation findings are. God protect us from our own government. Thank you so much, Mary, and thank you for that message. It is going to take all of us, and it's going to take real accountability. And so that all I want is for more serious and caring people to be in charge of such important stuff like our government. Like that, yeah, just the idea that it's just so, unprofessionally run, and these are things that matter. So I keep thinking about that. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Kate, Grand Rapids, hi. I'm like, these are names I know. You guys make me so happy. Oh my gosh, I love seeing these names and then actually getting to see. I'm like, I'm going to go read all of the messages in the entire live stream. That is, everyone ignore me, okay? But anyway, Kate, Grand Rapids, I'm so late, but I can't wait to rewatch. I'm so happy to have found you via Stu Peters. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. I was so happy to get to talk to Stu about it. He's so knowledgeable about so many things. And I was like, I hope that I come across as credible because I'm saying stuff that seems really wild to a person who hasn't heard this stuff before. So I'm really glad that it translated, and I'm so happy you're here. You are so sweet. Oh, I'm like another name that I know. This makes me so thrilled. Lo Potts. Hi, Lo. Hi, Pepperoni. You are doing a great job. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And again, first live stream ever. We intend to get better. I'm like, I'm going to go watch the king of this. And then I'm going to be like taking notes. How does he make eye contact? How does he do that? How does he stay on topic for a long time? Oh my gosh, but we'll get there. I promise. Walk by Faith. Ben Eyebrows Shapiro is an attention seeker. You're doing great, Anna. Cough. If you have to cough, it's okay. Heart bell. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. First of all, because now I am going to always refer to him as Ben Eyebrows Shapiro. I feel like that's his mafia name, right? Like that's got to be his mobster name. Brows Shapiro. Okay. Maybe you know what I could do? I can remove the aircraft map from the stage, and then that might make my computer not want to go so slow. I'm trying. Okay. Yeah, I'm calling him Ben Brows Shapiro. I'm calling him Brows Shapiro. Should we call him that? Guys, I came up with I have an entire new list. Stop. I have an entire new list of all of our little suspects here. Stop. That are all of our people that I have to use algo speak to, use their names instead of, using their actual names because the algorithm has been touchy. We'll put it like that. But yes, I'm going with Pancake Pete. I'm like, where's the pen? We got to put Brow Shapiro on here. Stop. It's so good. Bye. I love it. Okay, now it's on the list. So sorry, Ben. If you're watching, sorry, Ben, but you know what you did. Let's see. Coach E. Okay, so in Nevada, Settlemyer was expected to take the Emoti seat, and out of nowhere, a guy named Dave Filippo got backed by Trump. I got marketing texts from TPUSA to support him, and then he won the primary. Oh my, Coach E, are you a genius? I think you might be. Me who's like, yeah, so things to research. And that is FLIPP. Oh, yes, I am old school. I'm sorry. I am pen and paper, but I'm like, guys, I'm a student of the game, as in the game being like the education system. I don't know. I'm not great at tech. I'm like, I should have focused on STEM, but I need to look at that. Oh my gosh. So Dave Filippo, he was backed by Trump, but then he got supported by TPUSA. And Settlemyer was expected. Hang on, girl. Yes, I'm like Coach E. I think that you are, girl. Sorry. Yes, you are, obviously. Look at you, you're so cute. So, Settlemyer, and then we need to look at, and then the one that is pro TPUSA is Filippo. Okay. Not me being a gumshoe, sorry guys, but I think it's really important to get this all clear and to make sure that I'm tracking along with all of it because that's relevant. So thank you for that clue, because that is important. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, Emoti was not expected to not return to Congress. Like, as far as I knew, he was expected to return to Congress, guys. And so the idea that all of a sudden I want to say that he like kind of fumbled the bag. Like, I don't know how to put it exactly, but he, made an error on his relationship with Mima. It feels relevant right after that big, beautiful bill and his failed attempt to do these emergency provisions. That feels so relevant. Okay. Matt Miller, 25-year educator and nerd here. I enjoy hearing the way you think. Very high IQ. Hi, Matt. Hello to my fellow nerd. I love it. Oh my gosh, should we be like the Nerd Squad or something? I'm like, I can't think of what the nickname's going to be, but in my mind, I always think of myself as like the Nerd Squad. And anyway, so we'll keep it on the list. Thank you, Matt. Nice to meet you. Pleasure to see you here. Tammy, oh my goodness, Tammy. That is so kind. I cannot thank you enough. Oh, I cannot thank you enough. That is so, so kind. You guys have no idea. And I promise to invest every penny in getting a proper webcam or proper camera because it's you, me, and a webcam, guys. Like, the one that I've been using for Zoom calls. Like, but that's okay. Like I said, thank you so much. And my full intention is to use stuff like that, gifts like that, to be able to invest in doing this in a more streamlined way that makes sure that people can enjoy and that I'm not glitching all over the screen because, oh my goodness, guys. Tammy, thank you so much. God bless you, Anna. We're so grateful that you decided to go live. You've done an amazing job. We're all here for you. Keep doing lives. We'll be here for you. Christ is King. Christ is King indeed. Thank you so much. I'm just thrilled to have met you guys. I'm so happy that it means everything. Really, just the words of support are so meaningful. Oh, yes, my UFO girly. Jeannie, we're going to have to think about it. Will you send me the clip? Oh, just so you guys know, if you do have clips or tips, I always want to hear about it. So my tip line, but it's Anna Escobar Show at gmail.com. That's Anna Escobar Show at gmail.com. And one day I'll learn how to put that displayed at the bottom, but that day's not today. Sorry. But yes, you can always email me with tips like that because I want to know when he saw the UFO. But if you're not sure either, then hopefully someone else will tell us because I do think that he was just seeing a lot of stuff, wasn't he? He was on top of it with Einstein. He was on top of it with Butler. He was, of course, dealing with the greatest ally. He was dealing with the donors. the pressure he must have been under. So I don't want us to miss anything that could be a motivation. I do think a lot about the idea that something brought everyone to the table. And honestly, I just want to make sure that we get justice for him. That's what counts. So, hi, Jules. Hello, Jules 420. You were worried and look, you're a pro. You are so sweet. And I guarantee that you sent that before I was sitting there clicking off the screen. You are so kind, though. Thank you very much. And you are appreciated. I'm like, you know what I should do is send, I'm like, guys, do you want to donate to the Learn How to Be a Broadcaster Fund? Because I feel like there's got to be a class. I don't know. You know how Baron went and found that the book on logic? I'm like, can you provide a book on broadcasting and being like a professional? Because that would be beneficial as well. The logic book, hopefully most of us have already read. Most of us are already students of that specific line of thought. But yeah, how to be a broadcaster, that one's a little bit less obvious. Blaze Green Star, thank you so much. Anna, you are fantastic. Make this so fascinating. I am so glad that you feel that way. Blaze, I really, really am glad that you feel that way because it's so interesting. And the more of us that are informed and knowledgeable and feel like, yeah, it's like it makes all of us just so much better off, in my opinion, and to be aware. I would say, to be honest with you, since I really started getting into aviation and being able to use that as a tool to understand more of what our government was up to, what our, service members kind of, where we're putting different assets and all this and that, I have felt so much more informed when it comes to geopolitics in general. And then when I combine that with the Google Trends, I've been working on Google Trends since, of course, Baron showed it to us. He is the king of it, but I wanted to see if I could just kind of, find a little way to make it my, a tool that I hadn't seen being used that way yet. And so that's why I found that, learning for myself about these data clusters, it has made me feel just so much more informed. That's why, again, I keep harping on it, but it's true. It's going to take all of us. I got to learn the, Google Trends and stuff from Baron. And think of how many things we can all learn from each other. That's just one huge for me anyway, example, but it's the truth. Thank you. I'm glad it's fascinating. I hope that it stays that way. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for becoming a new member. I'm so thrilled. Oh my gosh. Maybe we're going to get there sooner than I thought. And I have cute little stickers and all of this lame stuff. Please don't make fun of me, but I want all of this stuff to be fun and unique. And in trying times like these, guys, thank you, Jules, for becoming a member. Thank you, Winter, for becoming a member. And thank you, Jackie Jack, cute, for becoming a member. But in trying times like these, my real belief is that we should have fun as often as we can, because a lot of this stuff is really hard and we have to keep our sanity, right? There's a lot of really challenging times, and thinking about a lot of this stuff is really, really, really hard. And I do not want for us to sink into despair or not feel as though we have community and not feel this feeling of just what are we going to do? A feeling of isolation. So for myself, I've been in medicine. I've been in medicine for well over a decade at this point, right? And dealt with really, 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 really hard stuff. And my feeling has always been that if not for the grace of God and for having a wonderful community within medicine and, in my life, then the things that I've seen, it would, I won't even, but what I'll say is having community, having the opportunity to laugh and take every opportunity to laugh as long as there's things to laugh about. Because when it is really serious and it's really, really awful, then we rely on the grace of God, the community that we have, and our knowledge, information, the amounts of ways that we've educated ourselves and the communities that we build with each other when we deal with absolutely devastating situations. That's how we get through it. But when things aren't hard, we don't have to make them hard. When things are okay, we need to find the joy in that moment, because that's going to count, and it's going to also be a little bit built up in our bank so that we can better handle those tough moments and all know each other beforehand too. I know that a lot of us are all meeting right now due to tough circumstances, but I want us to be not just battle buddies, like, okay, battle buns, but not battle buddies all the time. We got this. We're on top of it. They're the ones that are on their heels. And so we should remember, we got them. Come on, be serious. We got them. They're not sending their best. Thank you for joining, Jack. I'm so glad you're here. Tinfoil Mama. Oh my gosh, I love you so much. Okay, let's see. Did we resolve Scott Kirkpatrick? Yes, I think we had that wrong pick. I'm so sorry, and I haven't addressed it here, so let me address it right here. I think we had the wrong pick. The guy who looks like Cabot is Martin Kindle. Yes, thank you so much for bringing that back. Bringing that up. I addressed it on Twitter, and then I totally failed to address it here, so I'm so sorry. So, yes, that is my fault. Just so everyone is clear. Scott K and Martin K, I had their pictures swapped. I'm very sorry for that. Both gentlemen were there. So the gentleman who looks exactly like Cabot is named Martin Kindle. And yes, if you ever want to, look at the video, of course, yep, he was there. I had him labeled under Scott F. I was like, but anytime that anything is ever a mistake, I'm like, yes, that is my fault. I should have not labeled him Scott K. I'm all, I'm so mad at myself. I'm a perfectionist at heart, guys. And so if something like that happens and I'm just like just a mental, just a mental error, then it's just like, I'm just mortified. But I want to make sure that we get it right because it's too important to not get it right. So that is Martin Kindle. And unfortunately, yes, he was there. Wow, my computer is really not wanting to hang with me anymore, is it, guys? I'm so sorry. I wonder if this is my last gasp attempt by closing this other tab and we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. I'm like, I just got a couple more. I think we're just about done here. And thank you, Tinfoil Mama. It is so important to me, you guys. Always keep me honest. Always keep me on top of things. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it because it is always, always, always more important to have accurate information than it is to ever feel like, oh, I need to be right all the time or something like that. But I also want to be able to stand by my research because that's incredibly important to me. Thank you so much, Carmen Barrero. Thank you, girl, for all that you do. I'm so happy I found you on TikTok. Yay! Oh my gosh, a TikTok girly. I love that. I will tell you guys, so I am so bad at TikTok. Oh my goodness. So I'm so thrilled to hear that we found each other there. We're getting better. You know what? My baby sister, she's actually pretty good at it. And so I should tell her to just help me. I'll be like, please, can you help me? I have like a bunch of sisters and I'm the luckiest ever. I have like a bunch of sisters and several brothers too, who are very annoying, but are the reason that I know about sports and a lot of military stuff and a lot of, so it's a good combo. It's a good crew. But my sisters, one of them understands social media. I'm like, hello. You are going to be tasked with helping me learn how to social media because another one of them who is a nerd, but like a legitimate one who has made a career out of such things, she is going to have to teach me how to computer. I just have to get her to my neighborhood. She lives far away. So I'm like, darling, I need you. Please teach me how to plug in computer and we'll go from there. And the little one, I'm like, you get in here and please teach me how to TikTok because I don't know how to do it. We all have our strengths, right, guys? I did want to say thank you so much. Oh my gosh, are you my favorite boomer ever? J. Rana Boomer? I love it. I'm like, embrace it, girl. Absolutely. Thank you for becoming a member. And Silly is good. Honey, you are going to fit in perfectly around here because it is definitely a good thing. 100%. That's the whole point of it all. Yeah, so Baron is on in 10 minutes. Guys, I need to go get some water and I need to go get some caffeine because we have a lot of learning to do today, don't we, class? So I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'm so thrilled and I can't wait to see you guys again soon. Okay. Bye-bye. Like, oh, I don't know how to do it. Maybe that does it. Maybe it doesn't. We'll find out. Am I so barren? I am. This is worse than being barren. This is being an Anna and not knowing how to press buttons. Bye. Bye, guys.